The United States has once again attacked positions of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard inside Iran, and the ceasefire agreement, which seemed close, is now in jeopardy again. This Friday, May 8, 2026, the crisis erupted near the Strait of Hormuz, after 3 American destroyers were targeted by drones, missiles, and small Iranian vessels during a crossing monitored by the United States Navy. U.S. Central Command reported that the USS Mason, the USS Truxtun, and the USS Rafael Peralta were attacked but not hit. The response came shortly after, targeting military structures used to launch attacks, monitor ships, and support the naval operations of the Revolutionary Guard in southern Iran. The new exchange of attacks happened as Washington was waiting for a response from Tehran regarding a proposal to formally end the conflict and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. I'll tell you all about that in a moment, but right now you'll want to be subscribed to the channel to stay well informed, real-time information with the best journalistic quality you've ever seen. Milson Alves, the standard for credibility. The American plan aimed to turn the fragile truce into a firmer agreement, but the Iranian regime resisted the terms. The main point of the crisis lies in what the Iranians were doing. The Revolutionary Guard had been using drones, fast boats, missiles, and threats against vessels to show that it could affect movement in the Strait of Hormuz. That's why the American response didn't stop at just a warning. Washington attacked the infrastructure that supported the Iranian pressure. The first reports indicated explosions and air defense activity in areas such as Bandar Abbas, Kashin, Sirik, Mina, Bushehr, Shiraz, and Tehran. Bandar Abbas is especially important because it's a port city central to the Iranian naval apparatus in the south. QHM is strategically positioned within the Hormuz area. Sirik and Minab appear as important coastal points for surveillance and military movement. Not all reports coming from Iran have been independently verified, but the direction of the operation became clear. To reduce the Revolutionary Guard's ability to threaten ships in the strait, so far there is no reliable official death toll in this new round. The American operation was presented as an attack against military targets, and there is no consolidated public report on casualties among members of the Revolutionary Guard. This caution is necessary because Tehran strictly controls internal information when it comes under attack. While the United States releases few details, the confirmed information is that American ships were attacked, were not hit, and the response targeted points connected to the Iranian military machine. The nearly finalized agreement was thrown into crisis because of Hormuz. Trump had paused Project Freedom, an operation created to escort ships and reopen the passage, saying he wanted to give diplomacy a chance. The pause did not mean a military withdrawal. It meant a short window for Tehran to accept terms that involved the gradual opening of the strait, an end to threats against ships, and progress in tougher talks about regional security. The Revolutionary Guard saw this interval as a chance to regain strength and went back to testing American limits. The American proposal also touched on the regime's most sensitive point, the nuclear program. For the Revolutionary Guard, it was a brutal loss of power, so the Iranian response was marked by political rejection and the threat of military action. Mohsen Rezai, a veteran figure in the Iranian apparatus, rejected the idea of reopening Hormuz without reparations and called the American terms unrealistic. This point explains why the ceasefire was at risk. The regime didn't just want to stop the attacks, it wanted to receive benefits before giving up its pressure at sea. Washington did not accept this logic. Riyadh feared that Project Freedom would provoke a larger war and, according to reports, resisted the use of bases and airspace during certain phases of the operation. The Emirates, on the other hand, had been suffering more directly from Iranian pressure and showed irritation with Saudi caution. This division helped Tehran for a few days, but it also exposed the real fear of the Gulf monarchies. The Revolutionary Guard accused Gulf Coast nations of supporting the American attacks and began to treat Abu Dhabi as an enemy. This is serious because Fujairah, in the Emirates, is an important area for ships and energy outside the most enclosed part of the Persian Gulf. Qatar and Bahrain are also part of this equation. Qatar usually acts as a diplomatic bridge in regional crises, while Bahrain hosts a significant American naval presence. Kuwait watches the escalation with a history of invasion and war in mind. Saudi Arabia tries to protect its energy routes and prevent the conflict from directly reaching its territory. The Revolutionary Guard tries to use this geography to amplify fear, but each threat against these actors increases the chance of a more coordinated regional response against Tehran. When Iran faces direct pressure, it tries to activate different points on the map using allies, militias, and parallel fronts. The intention is to create political cost for its adversaries. The history of the Gulf helps explain why the United States reacted so quickly. In the 1980s, during the tanker war, Iran and Iraq attacked ships to hurt each other's economies. Kuwait asked for protection, and Washington responded with Operation Earnest Will, escorting oil tankers and increasing its military presence. The lesson from that period is simple. When Tehran turns the energy route into a weapon, the American response can go from escorting to direct attack. The mistake of the Revolutionary Guard was to put that memory to the test in real time. An attack on cargo ships already puts pressure on trade. An attack on American destroyers raises the stakes. The power that patrols the route cannot allow an ideological force to dictate the rules of navigation. That's why the shots near Hormuz carried more weight than the official statements from Tehran. They gave Washington the justification to resume attacks and toughen the conditions of any truce. Other maritime crises show the same pattern. The Suez Canal, closed between 1967 and 1975, forced ships to use longer and more expensive routes. In the Black Sea, the war between Russia and Ukraine turned grain, ports, and export corridors into instruments of pressure. Iran tries to apply a similar logic in Hormuz, but on a more dangerous scale. Oil, gas, and the interests of major powers pass through there. That's why a limited threat can have global consequences, and a military response may come faster than Tehran expects. The next stage should be marked by reinforced naval surveillance, diplomatic pressure, and new attacks if the Revolutionary Guard insists. The United States should maintain destroyers, refueling planes, military cargo planes, and surveillance systems in operation. The ceasefire may still survive, but not on the terms desired by Tehran. The White House is trying to keep negotiations open while reducing the Revolutionary Guard's military presence in the Strait. I'm Milson Alves, an international affairs specialist, and my purpose is to keep you accurately informed every day. The news links are in the video description. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, check out the comments so you can be even more engaged with the Milson Alves community.